Now, this is one of my favorite things. I don't know why, but I just think it's cool that we can generate random numbers, and then you can use that to simulate like throwing dice or drawing a card from a deck, because you can just make the number appear randomly. So how do we do that in JavaScript? It's not like everything else we've looked at so far. We're using a library called Math, and the library Math has to have an uppercase M, and we need to put a pair of parentheses after random because random is a method of math. So when we've got this, we get a random number. And using my up arrow, I can just do this several times, right? And so you see that the number that I get is always different. And it's this bunch of decimal places. So what Math.random gives us is a totally random number between 1 and 0. And that's why we've got decimal places. So if we wanted to instead get a random number between 1 and 100, what we could do instead would be times 100. And I'll do that a couple of times, right? So do it again, do it again, do it again. Now, once we've got, I'm going to get a random number between, actually it's not between 1 and 100, it's actually from 0 to 99. But you might want to get rid of all these messy decimal places after the integer. Let me clear the screen and show you how we'll do that. So instead of this messy thing, we have to use another math method, and now it gets a little long, so that's annoying, but of course you can copy and paste most of the time. And it's easy to look this up if you haven't used it for a while and you've forgotten how it works. Okay, so I need Math.random times 100, just like before. And I have to close my parentheses, right? Because this set of parentheses, that whole thing, it's what's going into floor. So don't forget this final closing parentheses this time. Semicolon, go. And now every time we do that, like we could have a guessing game where you're playing, okay, so you see sometimes they're close together because it's random, sometimes they're far apart. But again, this would give you an integer, a whole number from 0 to 99. So you could, program a little guessing game and give somebody, 5 chances to guess the number. That's a common beginner program. So let's clear again. So you've seen this. So what if I had mentioned we could simulate a dice throw? Okay, let's throw one die. So we want a number from 1 to 6. So what we would do in that case, we have to start by saying, well, I don't want it to go to 100 because I only want a number from 1 to 6. So your first inclination is to try this. And oh my, the first thing you got is 0. That doesn't always happen. But you'll see that we never go into any number higher than 6. But in fact, because of what we've done, just because, as you saw, we got 0, we will actually never get 6, because what we're going to get is from 0 to 5. Seems like I can't get another 0. Darn it. I know we can get a 0. There we go. If we do this long enough. Clear. What can we do to make sure that we're going to get a number from 1 through 6 inclusive? We're going to get one of those 6 numbers. We won't get 0, and we'll definitely get some 6s. Well, in order to do that, we just need to get what we're getting and add 1 to it. So if Math.floor, Math.random times 6, if it generates 0, what we'll get is 1. And if it generates 5, what we'll get is 6. So we'll get a number from 1 through 6 every time we run this. And there's 6. And we will never get a 0 no matter how many times we run it. So Math.floor, Math.random, and then you can pick any number. If you need to throw a 20-sided die, you could have times 20 plus 1, and that would work just fine.